If you want to join the Air Force and you're preparing to take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, or ASVAB, then you've come to the right place. But first, it's important to understand how it's scored because there are actually a few different scores you get from this one test. Stick with me and I'll explain it all. Welcome to the U.S. Military Test Prep channel by Study.com. My name is Dr. Steele. I'm a U.S. Army veteran and an ASVAB test prep expert. In today's video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about your scores on the ASVAB, especially if you're looking to enlist in the United States Air Force. The ASVAB has 9 or 10 subtests, 10 if you take the computerized version, and 9 if you take the pencil and paper version, because that one combines 2 of the sections into one. You can find a video on this channel that gives more information about the paper versus computer version. These subtests check out your knowledge in different areas, like general science, arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and mathematics knowledge. The other areas are electronics information, auto and shop information, mechanical comprehension, and assembling objects. You'll get a standard score for each of the subtests. So what's a standard score? It's basically how you stack up against the other test takers in your age group. The average score is a 50, and the scoring system is built around that. So 50 is your baseline. And a 10-point difference shows how far above or below average you are. So a 60 is above average, and a 40 is below average. It's that simple. Higher scores show off your strengths in certain areas, which can be a game changer for landing specific jobs in the Air Force. You get a percentile rank as well. This shows how your performance compares to others. For instance, a percentile rank of 75 means you scored better than 75% of standard test takers. Your percentile rank can help you identify Air Force roles to aim for or areas you can improve in. For example, if you want to work in aviation mechanics, you will need a high percentile rank in mechanical comprehension. The Air Force wants to match you with the best job for your strengths. A high percentile rank can help you stand out from the crowd. So maybe you already have a career goal in mind. How do you know if you're actually qualified for that position in the Air Force? That's where composite scores come in. The military uses composite scores, also known as line scores, to figure out what jobs you're best suited for. These scores come from combining your standard scores in areas that have been identified as important to specific jobs. Each branch of the military has its own way of calculating these because different roles need different skills. The Air Force uses 4 different calculations to come up with the Air Force line scores. These are known as mechanical, administrative, general aptitude, and electronics, or MAGE for short. The first one is mechanical, and it's formed by combining your standard scores on the arithmetic reasoning, auto and shop information, and mechanical comprehension subtests with your verbal expression line score. Your verbal expression line score is made by combining your word knowledge and paragraph comprehension subtest results. Next is administrative. This is made by combining your mathematics knowledge and verbal expression scores. Third, we have general aptitude, which is formed by adding together your verbal expression and arithmetic reasoning scores. The last one is electronics. This is calculated by adding your scores on arithmetic reasoning, electronics information, general science, and mathematics knowledge. Each Air Force job category, known as Air Force Specialty Codes, or AFSC for short, has a minimum composite score requirement in one or more areas. For example, if you want to work in aircraft structural maintenance in the Air Force, you need a mechanical score of at least 47. Is your goal to be an airborne cryptologic language analyst? In that case, you should aim for a minimum general aptitude score of 72. Be sure to do some research on what score your AFSC requires. Then you can really hone in on the subtests that will need a little more prep time. Your Armed Forces Qualifying Test, or AFQT score, might be the most important score on the ASVAB. It determines whether you can enlist in the Air Force at all. Each branch sets its own minimum score, so that's the bar you have to clear to move forward. The AFQT comes from a combination of your scores on 4 key subtests. The first, arithmetic reasoning, which has basic math word problems. The second, mathematics knowledge, which includes a variety of math concepts. The third is word knowledge, which looks at your understanding of vocabulary and word meanings. And 4, paragraph comprehension, which measures how well you understand the written materials. Your AFQT score is a percentile ranking, meaning if you score a 60, you did better than 60% of standard test takers. Each military branch has its own standards. Let's take a closer look at the minimum AFQT score you need to enlist in the Air Force. You'll need a high school diploma or GED to qualify for any branch of the military. The required scores vary based on which one you have. So if you've passed the GED exam, you'll need to aim for a score of at least a 50 for all branches. With a high school diploma, the scores required are lower. If you want to enlist in the Air Force and have a high school diploma, you'll need at least a 31. That's the minimum to get in, but higher AFQT scores open up additional job options, potentially more career growth, and maybe even some bonus opportunities. Scoring above the minimum opens the door for more specialized and technical roles such as intelligence analysis, cybersecurity, and avionics. So how should you actually interpret your scores? Here's the deal. If you're getting low scores in certain areas, it doesn't mean you can't join the Air Force. It just might limit your options when it comes to certain AFSCs. For example, if your line score in electronics is low, a role in IT or communications might be a stretch, but you could still qualify for plenty of other roles. Make sure you review the score requirements for the specific job you're aiming for. Meeting with an Air Force recruiter could also be helpful. They can help walk you through the score requirements for different AFSC options and help you understand what you're qualified for and give you tips on how to improve if you need to. And if your AFQT score isn't at least a 31, don't sweat it. You can retake the ASVAB. The wait between the first 2 attempts is 30 days. If you need to retake it a second time, you have to wait another month. After that, you'll need to wait 6 months between retests. So, use the time you have to your advantage. Also, keep in mind that your ASVAB scores are valid for enlistment for up to 2 years from the date of your last test date. Interpreting your scores really comes down to 2 questions. Are you eligible? And what specific job are you interested in? If you have a goal in mind, it's easier to make sense of your results and set a game plan. Let's talk about some steps you can take to improve your scores and position yourself for the Air Force jobs you want. First, pinpoint your weak areas. Take an honest look at which subtests are hurting your score. Next, study smarter. Spend additional time on the sections you struggled with. Look, it's no fun working on your weak areas, but you gotta be willing to do whatever it takes to earn the score you need for the AFSC you want. The right study resources can make all the difference. Study.com's ASVAB test prep resources can help with personalized plans and practice tests that will get you on track. A full 92% of users pass the ASVAB after prepping with Study.com. Taking a practice test helps you zero in on what you know and what you don't. Watch lessons to review material you're less confident in, and if you feel like you know a topic well, do some practice problems and quiz yourself. If you're still missing a lot, go back and review the lesson and make sure you know the material. A solid prep plan will boost your score. If you're prepping for the ASVAB, think about using Study.com's ASVAB study guide and test prep resources, and zero in on what you need to study. And remember, even if you don't get the score you need for the role you want, there might be other military jobs that would be a good fit for you, so be open-minded. The goal is to maximize your strengths. And that's the rundown on ASVAB scores for the Air Force. Whether you're just starting to study or already have some scores to interpret, understanding what these numbers mean can help you begin your military career with confidence. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment with any questions or topics you want us to cover, and don't forget to subscribe for more U.S. military test prep content. Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next video. You've got this.